This conference will now be recorded.
We posted first purchase invoice yesterday in the Toshiba vendor account for 10,000 rupees. After posting first vendor invoice, if you look at the vendor outstanding report or vendor line item report, you are able to see one line item and the vendor outstanding as of now is 10,000 rupees. You will see 10,000 negative balance here. Number of transactions is single line item. This is your vendor line item report. Next one, you have another report, vendor balance report. Instead of looking at all the line items, you will be only able to check what is total debit posted to a vendor account on a particular month, what is the total credit posted to a vendor account on a particular month, what is the net outstanding. For that, you need to open FK tenant transaction code. If you go to FK tenant, here you will have to pass your vendor number, company code and fiscal year, in which year you want to check the liability. Let us give our vendor code, company code and current fiscal year 2023. Let me run this report. This is giving the outstanding balance from period number 6. Why this is giving from period number 6? This is because we are currently on June month. By default, the system will generate any report for leading ledger, not for the non-leading ledger. According to leading ledger, June month is period number 6. According to non-leading ledger, June month is period number 3. Now, since system is generating the report from leading ledger, by default, this is giving you information about leading ledger according to IFRS accounting principle Jan to December. If you notice one point here, there is one more report, GL balance report, which is your FS 10N. If you go to FS 10N, you are getting a message at the bottom. What is this message at the bottom on FS 10N? New general ledger is implemented. Use transaction FAGLB03. It is asking us to use FAGLB03. If you go to FAGLB03 report, you have same options, account number, company code, fiscal year, but above you have different filters. You have an option to select ledger. From the GL side, you have an option to pick whether the data you require from leading ledger or from the non-leading ledger. Now, selection of data either from leading ledger or from non-leading ledger is applicable only for the GL accounts. If you're talking about sub-ledger accounts like vendor customer, data is by default extracted from leading ledger. You will not be able to check the data from non-leading ledger. If you want to check the data from non-leading ledger, you have to use your vendor reconciliation GL account. If I open this vendor, okay, if I select this and display this document, this vendor account is associated with GL account 241 all zeros. Let me run this GL report parallelly. If I put this GL account number, company code, fiscal year and then execute, we are getting 10,000 same here. In period number 6, there is a credit balance of 10,000. Total outstanding is also 10,000. If you see, this is your accounts payable local. On the other side, if you look at from the vendor side, this is your Dell Computers India Limited. 10,000, it is appearing on period number 6. One report you are checking from the vendor side, the other report you are checking from GL side. Now on the vendor side, you have no option to switch from leading ledger to non-leading ledger. In short, from one accounting principle to the other accounting principle. Whereas if you go to GL report, you have an option here to switch from one ledger to the other ledger. Currently data is displayed from leading ledger 0L, but I want to check how much is outstanding according to my non-leading ledger, in short Indian Companies Act. For that we need to click on this choose ledger. Our non-leading ledger was, what was our non-leading ledger? DE.
DA, sir. D.
DA is representative ledger.
D1,
DL, sir, I think.
D1, not D1. Yeah, D1 is our non-leading ledger. Del group, non-leading ledger. Let me select D1. I'll say OK. Now let me execute this report. If you see this, same 10,000 you are able to see, but not on period number 6. This 10,000 is appearing on period number 3. Correct? 10,000 it is showing outstanding in period number 6 according to IFRS. The same 10,000 is showing as outstanding in period number 3 according to Companies Act. Clear with this? Why same amount is showing in two different periods?
yes.
Yes, sir.
So this is how you will be able to generate the reports. You will be able to differentiate between your outstandings or any other account balances. So don't see it from single point of view, see it from both the accounting principle point of view. Always remember your subledger accountings are not relevant for new general ledger accounting. In short, when you talk about profit center, profit center accounting, segmental reporting, leading, non-leading ledger, all these things are not applicable for subledgers. These are applicable only for the GL accounts. That is why you call it as new GL. This is clearly applicable for GL account related transactions, GL account related reports, not related to vendor, not related to customer, not related to fixed asset. Because your vendor, customer, fixed asset are subledger accounts. These things can be applied to these accounts when you run the report of the reconciliation GL account. If you run the report for reconciliation GL account, you are able to see the data in different currencies. If you click here, you are able to change or you are able to see the data in all the currencies of your company code, local currency and group currency. If I go to vendor report, on the vendor report, do I have an option to switch the currency?
No, sir.
In vendor, I don't have an option to switch currency. I cannot choose the ledger. I cannot choose the currency also, because your vendor line item reports, your customer line item reports are not relevant for new GL functionalities. If you want to see new GL functionalities, you have to use reconciliation GL accounts, not the vendor accounts. Now, let's say from the FK10N, which is your vendor balance report, if I want to know why there is 10,000 posted here, you have four amounts appearing here. First one is debit. If you post any debit in the vendor account, that will reflect here. Next one, credit. If you post any credit, that will reflect here. This balance is the sum of debit and credit. Debit plus credit will give you the balance. Next one is your cumulative balance. Cumulative balance is outstanding till period number 6. From all the months till period number 6, whatever is outstanding is called as cumulative balance. This balance is only June month balance. Period number 6 balance alone is your balance. Balance until June is your cumulative balance. Now here you have another option, sales and purchases. This is the sum of the transactions. Sum of all your transactions is your sales and purchases. Now let's say I want to see the breakup of any one transaction here. If you check, there is a credit balance of 10,000. If you want to check why there is a 10,000 posted in this account, all you need to do is you just double click on this amount. If I double click on this 10,000, this will take you to the line item breakup of that amount. This is called your drill down reporting. Okay. If you double click on any amount, you will be able to check the transaction figures of that particular balance. Similarly, if you click on this or if you click on this or anywhere, if you double click, you will get the breakup of that particular value. This is one point. Next one, what you need to do is there is one more report. So one report that you can check for vendor is FK10N from vendor account, you can check the respective balances. Other option is to check the total accounts payable balance from the accounts payable reconciliation GL account. Third report that you will be generating here is FBL1H, vendor line item browser. This is another report, FBL1H. This report is also used to check the total line items of your vendor and the total outstanding of your vendor. This report is frequently used because this will run faster. It will not give you the breakup, but at every vendor account, what is the outstanding, you will be able to check in a quick report. Here also I'll put company code, vendor account, outstanding as on today. Let me click on execute. If you click on execute, this is what you're getting. Just minimize this layout. This is your company code. This is the fiscal year. This is your period number 6. This is the vendor number. This is the amount. Database rows 1, which means there is one transaction posted. Amount is 10,000. If you have 100 vendors, it will give you all the 100 vendors like this, one by one. For every vendor based on the period, it will give you the outstanding. So you can easily download this report and you can identify what is your total outstanding at each vendor, how much is your total outstanding. Instead of generating different other reports, this report is faster and very useful when you're in a project. Okay, in short, we have 3 reports to check. Vendor reports. First one is FBL1N, next FK10N, next one FBL1H. You can also use FAGLB03. This is vendor wise. This is also vendor wise. This is vendor recon GL wise. This is not at vendor level. This is at vendor reconciliation GL account level. Save this. Now next, let us pass the remaining entries to check the account balance, how it is updating. We posted entry number 1 for 10,000. Now let us pass the second entry on 2nd June for 17,500. To pass the entry, as usual, let me open same screen, F-43. Second entry will be posted on 2nd June for 17,500. I'll put date as 2nd June. Purchase number 2.
Hello, sir.
Posting key. Yes.
Sir, why period 6? Why not 3?
Because this is according to leading ledger. Are we giving any ledger group or ledger code here on the screen?
No, sir.
If you're not giving any ledger, your entry will be posted in all the ledgers of your company code. Your company code is always represented by leading ledger. For leading ledger, we are using Jan to December fiscal year. Okay, your non-leading ledger will get posted in the background. When you're clicking on post, at that time your non-leading ledger will get updated with period number 3. After posting this document, I'll show that.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Posting key 31. Let me select this vendor. For second purchase, we are assuming 17,500. I'll take 17,500. I'll put purchase number 2. Expense account will be debit 40. I'll take some expense account. Printing and stationery Same amount, I'll put profit center, cost center. Let me simulate this. This is your normal entry simulation wherein it is showing your vendor account is credit, GL account is debit. Let us simulate general ledger. If you simulate general ledger, you will see this. Point number 1, make sure your profit center is derived based on active document splitting. Point number 2, click on ledger. If you click on ledger, select D1, which is your non-leading ledger. If you go to D1, if I scroll down, you are able to see posting date is 2/6/2023, fiscal year is 2023, posting period is 3 here in non-leading ledger D1. Right, so you
Yes,
will be
sir.
able to check non-leading ledger posting once you are simulating general ledger view. When you are posting, it will pass the entry in two ledgers, leading ledger and then non-leading ledger. Next, if I select leading ledger 0L, it will become period number 6. Okay. Right. Let me go back and then post this entry. Two entries are posted now. After posting two entries, what will be our vendor outstanding? 10,000 plus 17,500. It will be 27,500, right? Let me go to vendor line item report first. Yes, Ravi, you have a question?
Thank you, Ajay. When you went into the leading ledger should be in the USD currency, right?
No, currency also you have to switch. If I, by default, system will display the document in your company code currency. Okay, you need to pick the currency group currency, then it will show the value in your dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now, currently we have vendor account outstanding of 10,000. Now, after posting the second invoice, if you refresh the vendor line item report, you have to get 27,500 credit balance. For that, option number 1, you can go back and then execute the report. Option number 2, within the report, go to list on the top menu, click on refresh icon. From list, if you refresh, you will see second line item is added for 17,500. This is also a credit transaction. Total outstanding is now 27,500. Your line item report is updated with 27,500. Let us check vendor balance report. Currently vendor balance report is showing 10,000. From here we cannot refresh the report. We have to go back and then run this again. I'll go back, run this report again. Now it is showing 27,500. If you want to get the breakup, just double click on this 27,500. On whatever the amount you double click, that breakup you will be able to see, which means you can see the debit balance breakup, you can see the credit balance breakup, you can see the balance, cumulative balance, sales purchase, any amount. If you double click, that amount breakup will be displayed in the separate line item report. Let me double click on this balance 27,500. If I double click here, I am able to see why 27,500 system is updating. It is giving you the detailed breakup of transactions that system has considered. Clear? I'll go back. Now, third report that we were looking at is reconciliation GL account balance report. Currently, this report will match with our report because we have only one vendor. But practically, this GL account is used for different vendors. So at that time, your balances may not be matching with your respective vendor account because you are looking at one vendor account. you are checking with GL account, which is used for multiple vendor accounts. This GL account will always display the balance of all the vendors associated with reconciliation account. But as of now, it will match because we have only one vendor. Let me run this report. This is also showing 27,500. Next report that we used was vendor line item browser FBL1H. Here also we can refresh, go to list on the top, click on refresh. If you click on refresh, this has also become 27,500. It is showing database rows 2, which means there are 2 line items that are posted or 2 transactions that are posted in this account. If you want to get the breakup here, you just need to select this vendor line item, and you will have an option call line item report. If you click on this, this will give you the breakup of the transactions that are posted. Okay, I'll go back. This is all about your vendor line item reports. Clear how to pull the vendor reports? 3 reports exclusively for the vendor, 1 report from GL side, your reconciliation GL account side. Next, third entry we are talking about returns. This returns we are talking about purchase number 2. We have given return number 2 representing purchase number 2. Whenever you are talking about return, your return must represent the purchase, because without purchase we cannot do any returns. When you're returning, you will be calling your returns as credit memos in system. Any adjustment that you are posting to the vendor account is represented by credit memo or credit note. Okay, any adjustment you are posting to the vendor account is called as returns or credit memos. Now let us pass this credit memo. To pass the credit memo, you must know the invoice reference. This credit memo is posted against which original invoice. In our scenario, we know that we have given the number as 2 represents invoice number 2. Return number 2 is against purchase number 2. To pass this entry, you will have to use a transaction code F-41/N. If I go to F-41, here you can pass the vendor credit memo. The only difference you will find here is document type is different, posting key is different. In vendor invoice screen, your document type was KR. KR represents vendor invoice. Here document type is KG. KG represents vendor credit memo. In vendor invoice, your vendor account is credited, so your posting key was defaulted to 31. On vendor credit memo, or when you're returning to a vendor, your vendor account will be debited, so your posting key is now 21. Apart from this document type, posting key, there is no other difference. Now let me pass this entry on 4th June for 2300. I'll put return to posting key 21, vendor account debit. It is telling number range 17 is missing. Let's update the number range 17. FBN1 DEIN company code, change intervals, add a new interval, number range 17, year 2023. If your number range interval is 17, your number range will be 17 followed by all zeros, 17 followed by all lines. This is the standard logic which is used for creation of number range in any project. Close this, hit enter. You got to the next screen. In this amount you need to mention 2300. Let me put 2300. Text I'll put return number 2. Now when you are doing this as a purchase return or credit memo, you must represent this return is against which invoice. Otherwise it is difficult to identify, it is difficult to trace why this credit memo is posted in the system. If this is a normal adjustment entry, there is no need of your invoice reference. But if this credit memo is against a return that you have made for any one purchase, you must represent your purchase document number. Now, according to us, this credit memo is raised against invoice number 2, which is 17,500. From the invoice 17,500, we are returning 2,300. You must represent this purchase number to document number while posting return document. Let us check the document number for 17,500. If you go to vendor line item report, for 17,500, this is the document number. You need to copy this document number 19 all zeros 2, and you need to mention this document number in the invoice reference field of credit memo. Press enter. This is what happens. Clear? Whenever you post any credit memo, always remember your original invoice number must be updated in the invoice reference field of credit memo. While doing this, what system will do is, whenever you are trying to make the payment of invoice number 2, what is the outstanding of invoice number 2? 17,500. Invoice number 2 outstanding is 17,500. But if you pass the credit memo, you are aware that 17,500 has a return of 2,300. The net outstanding is 15,200. Unless and until you pass a credit memo and you represent the original invoice number in the credit memo, system will not understand that there is a credit memo for this invoice. If you update invoice reference like this in your credit memo, system will understand this credit memo is relevant to this invoice number. Whenever you are trying to pay this invoice number will always come along with the credit memo of 2,300, so that your invoice will always represent the net outstanding of 15,200 some change. Clear? Next one, you are debiting vendor account. You need to credit the same purchase account which is used during the invoice. During the invoice, we have used printing and stationery. Here you need to credit printing and stationery for the same amount. Here I will not put any profit center, any cost center. Sorry, I need to put, because this is a cost element. If you go to document, simulate, and then simulate general ledger. Your profit center is being split here. In case if this GL account is not a cost element, if you are not giving profit center here, system will not take profit center for both the line items. System is taking profit center because you are giving cost center. We are giving cost center because this is a cost element. In case if you are using a GL account which is not a cost element, if you do not put any profit center for the GL account, when you simulate the general ledger, you don't find any profit center either on the debit side or on the credit side, because system is unable to update the profit center and it will not do any document splitting. Right? For one of the entries we will pass by taking non-cost element GL account, and we will not put profit center. We will check what is happening with document splitting. This is your credit memo. Let me post this entry. After posting the credit memo, your outstanding balance must be, if I take the total 3, 25,200. The net outstanding now should stand 25,200. Let me go to line item display. I go to list on the top. Let me refresh this. It has become 25,200. If I check balance report, currently 27,500. Now it has become 25,200. Similarly, vendor reconciliation GL account. This is also 25,200. If you check vendor line item browser, list, refresh, 25,200, it is telling database rows 3, which means there are 3 transactions in the vendor account. Clear? How the value is updating in all your ledgers, all your reports. So for everything, base is your transaction only. You must pay attention on what entry you are posting, how this is going to affect your account, whether you are going to affect debit to your account or credit to the account. Accordingly, every report will get adjusted. Now, after this, you have a payment. Payment entry we will do later on, because for doing payment, we need to understand two concepts: cash payment and bank payment. For cash payment, we have to understand cash journals. For bank payment, we have to understand house bank first. Without understanding a cash journal, without understanding house bank, we are not supposed to pass any payment entries or any cash bank related entries in our system. Okay, so this we will do a little later. This also we will be doing later on, because these two are related to payments. Payments will be done after configuring cash journal and house banks. Remaining two entries also let us pass. Next entry is purchase number 3 on 10th June. This time I am going to use purchase account or purchase entry with single entry screen. For normal entry screen, F-43 is the vendor invoice posting. For single screen, it will be FB60. If I access FB60, this is your enter vendor invoice. And here the first thing that you need to look at is the company code. By default, your company code is grayed out here. You will not be able to change company code manually here. You should always change the company code by selecting this company code option here, or shortcut key is F7. If you click on this, this will give you a pop-up to update your company code. Update the company code as DEIN and press enter. Continue. Now you will see the company code is updated to DEIN here. Now you can pass your transaction. Here select the vendor account. Our vendor account is 100101. One double zero 101. Next one, in the reference you need to put something and invoice date. Invoice date is 10th June. Let me take 10/06/23. This is also 10th June. Reference, I'll put purchase number 3. Amount is 23,800. 23,800. Next one, you will have to put the GL account. Here there is no concept of posting keys on the single screen transactions like FB60, FB50, all these kind of entries will not contain any posting keys. Your vendor posting key is taken by the system by default. Down below you need to put GL account and you just need to select this account is debit or credit. Here we need to take expense account. The expense account that we were taking is what? Stationery account. Let me take that stationery account. Triple four. This is the stationery GL account. I'll put stationery account here. Your stationery account will be debit because this is a invoice entry. For invoice, your vendor account is credited, your expense account is debited. This is the expense account. Debit credit indicator, you select debit, put the same amount, 23,800. Just scroll right, update the other information. Text I'll put purchase number 3. Next, this is an expense account. I'll put cost center DEIN 011001. Enter. This is what you have given. Here, the moment you hit enter, it will display the vendor name and vendor address here. If you have bank information, it will display the bank information here, and you can check list of open items by clicking on this icon. If you click on this icon, you can check what is the current outstanding of this vendor. I'll go back. From here, you can click on list of open items. Next one, after filling up this vendor information, debit credit information of the respective corresponding GL account, you have different other tabs here. Currently we are on basic data. You have payment tab. In this you will be updating your payment method, payment terms and all. Next, details. In the details you can put document header text. Here I'll put purchase number 3. This is related to tax. Notes, any other comment if you want to update, you can write this here. Next, local currency. In this local currency, you will check the amount in transaction currency, amount in local currency, amount in other currency, which is your group currency. Once you update everything, make sure you will simulate the entry from here. Same option, go to document, click on simulate. This is the entry, vendor account credit, purchase account or your expense account debit. Go back. Simulate general ledger. If you click on simulate general ledger, it will give you the GL view of the transaction with document splitting with the debit credit profit center derivation. Here you can switch to different currencies. Currently it is showing in local currency. If you want group currency, put this. Okay, just go back and pass this entry. In this screen, you can complete the transaction quickly. Instead of F-43, this will take less time to complete a transaction. Now, after posting this transaction, our outstanding should result 49,000 should be our outstanding. Let us verify the number quickly. Currently 25,200. If I refresh, it has become 49,000. Same way you refresh every report. When you are practicing, make sure you do the same thing that I am doing now, so that you will get used to the reports. Which report and how the data is updating is what something must be there in your mind. So automatically all the calculations reports will sit in your mind. Which report you have to verify, what is the T code for the report, how values are getting updated when you pass the entries. 49,000 here also. Vendor line item browser, currently 3 rows, 25,200. It should become 49,000. Database rows 4. Clear? 4 rows, 49,000. Now let us pass the last entry, which is your return number 3 on June 11th. For purchase returns, you can use the same single screen transaction code FB65. FB60 is used to pass the invoice. FB65 is used to pass the credit memos. Go to FB65. First thing that you will have to check is your company code, whether your company code is updated properly or not. If your company code is proper, input the transaction, put the vendor number 100,101, and this return is on 11th June. Put 11/06/23, 11/06/23. Next one, This is your return 3. Return amount is 1920. Put the amount 1920. GL account, same account, 444. This GL account, amount is 1920. Put the text return 3. This is a cost element, input the cost center. Okay, for purchase return or any credit memo transaction, one point we should not forget. You need to update what for returns? What we should update for returns, credit memos?
Document number.
Document number, previous document.
Which document number? Your original invoice document number must be updated. This is your return number 3, which means you have to take purchase number 3. Purchase number 3 is this document number. Copy the purchase document number and then go to your credit memo. In the credit memo, if you go to payment, you have invoice reference here. Put the invoice reference in this tab, press enter. Clear? If you are posting the credit memo without this, then you are doing wrong. You will not update this only in case if it is not related to any particular invoice written. If this is a normal adjustment, you can leave it blank. But if the credit memo is relevant to any returns, you must represent the original invoice number. Same thing, go to document, simulate 1920, go back, simulate general ledger. Every time if you check, you are able to see the profit center for both vendor account and the GL account. Based on what functionality this is happening, your vendor account is receiving profit center.
Active.
Based on active document splitting functionality, the profit center is split here. Now, when you are asked this question in your interview about document splitting, make sure your document splitting, you will give an example of vendor customer transactions, especially invoice and credit memos. Clear? Vendor invoice, vendor credit memo, you will talk. System is splitting based on two functionalities. Point number 1, document type. Point number 2, business transaction related or assigned to the GL accounts used. If you look at this transaction, you are able to see the GL accounts here. Correct? Now, as part of your document splitting configuration, the first setting that we did was classify GL account for document splitting. Remember? Yes. Your classified GL accounts for document splitting, we have assigned based on the nature of account, the relevant business transaction item category is used. Based on that, system is going to identify the business transaction linked with your document type. In short, your document type, GL account number will be used to bring these three key fields, business transaction and transaction variant. Accordingly, it will perform the splitting, whether the splitting is possible between these two transactions or not. It is not that whatever the document type you use or whatever the GL account number you use, splitting will work. It is wrong. It depends on the logic. You need to understand based on what key combinations the system is performing splitting. Sometimes if you change the document type from KR or KG to SA or any other thing, system may not be bringing profit center here. If you use different document types, it will not work because of document type does not support this vendor invoice splitting. That we will see practically in the upcoming sessions. I'll show different errors, different scenarios wherein your splitting will work properly, your splitting will not work properly. Not for everything you will do the configuration changes. There are certain errors, certain issues because of incorrect data entry. If you do not know how to record the transaction, which document type to be used, which GL account type to be used, you will end up getting errors. So when you get these kind of errors reported from your business or from your user, make sure first you try to understand what kind of entry they are passing, whether they are selecting right transaction, right document type, right GL account. In short, you need to verify whether the transaction is posted with correct parameters or not. Sometimes users might be posting the transaction with incorrect parameters. If incorrect parameters are used, your splitting may not work. Not for every error you will straight away go and check the document splitting configuration. That is wrong. First, you need to understand what your user is trying to pass, how they are trying to pass the entry. Once you understand that, then you get into the system, check what is happening, why this is not splitting. But just like that, document splitting is not working, don't open the document splitting config and then check. Then you're doing wrong. First, always try to understand the problem. Make sure you're able to replicate the problem. Before you solve the problem, make sure you're able to create the problem. Let's say I am a user, I am telling, I am posting the entry, but splitting is not happening. By just listening to my statement, I am trying to pass vendor invoice, but splitting is not happening. You cannot say it's okay, I will check. You have not seen what I am posting, whether I am using right document type, whether I am using right GL account, whether I am doing right thing on the system. You have not seen, you are not aware. Just you have understood document splitting is not happening while posting the vendor invoice. On what basis you are going to verify if there is a problem or not? Right? To verify that, you must know, you must see what I am doing. Either you need to ask me to give the screenshot of the error message or something like this. This is screenshot which GL accounts I am using, which T code I am using, which doc type I am using. Whatever is relevant, whatever is connected with your document splitting error, that information you must gather first. After that only you need to verify where the problem is, whether the problem is with my data entry, problem is with the master record, problem is with the document splitting config. Straight away, just like that, we are not supposed to come to a conclusion when you're actually working, when you're actually supporting any client. When we are practicing, we can straight away come to a conclusion, we can straight away think this may be reason, that may be reason. But when you're in a project, you have to be crystal clear, you have to be very confident. Getting my point? So you need to make sure that you make all these points as a habit, so that even when you're talking to a user or your client tomorrow when you join an organization, you will talk in the right way. You will gather the requirement in the right approach. You will check the issue. You will see the relevant screens, transactions, reports. You will try to understand from your side first before taking anyone's help. Otherwise, whoever is looking at you, whoever is monitoring us, we do not know who is monitoring us. We do not know who is looking at us when you're actually working in a project. This is quite common in every organization. Whoever joins firstly will be noticed, will be observed. Am I correct? Correct? Nobody will just like that leave you with what you're doing. They will notice, they will monitor what you're doing, how you're working, whether you are understanding properly, whether you are putting your efforts, are you keen to learn. All these things will be noticed. And you have to project that you are performing something, you're doing something, you're putting your efforts. For that, somebody to see, for that, somebody to visualize, you need to do things in a different way. Right? Nowhere you should give a doubt to the other person that you do not have an experience. Do not give that impression to anybody. Try as much as possible that you will not give that impression to anybody, whether you talk, whether you work, whether you discuss. Make sure that your efforts are only to make sure that you're not giving this training kind of impression to the other person. That should be your first target. If you are able to work with this approach, you will not get failure, or you will not get caught anywhere. Nobody will point out finger at you stating that no, this is wrong. First, you have to come out of that mindset, which is very, very common in everybody who is getting trained. Because you have a doubt, you have a confusion whether what I'm telling, whether what I'm doing is right or wrong. Most of the people will have this confusion because of different reasons. But make sure you're not in that confused state. Whatever the confusion you have, make sure you get them clarified or cleared. Okay, any doubts, questions so far? We need to pass this entry. One sec. Let me post this. And after posting, the final account balance in our vendor account must be 47,080. Yes, Ravi.
Regarding the retained earnings, you said retained earnings will be a running balance. But when I go to the GL account balance, it is not showing the retained earnings. Even for your
Retained
company,
earnings, right. Retained earnings account is a running balance because it will not have any update. Your retained earnings account balance will get updated only in your financial statement reports, especially your trial balance and balance sheet.
got it.
Even in trial balance, you will not find that amount. In the balance sheet, you will see that value because data entry is an ongoing process.
Correct.
Correct? Users will be recording the transactions from different locations. Whenever you are carry forwarding the balance from one fiscal year to the other fiscal year, basically from, let's say, if you are at the year end, at the end of December, you will have to roll over balances from year 2023 to year 2024. At that time, you will be executing this report. FAGL GVTR. When you run this transaction balance carry forward, let me put leading ledger 0L, company code DEIN, and let's carry forward to year 2024, next year. Just click on execute. When you click on execute, this is how it will show, and here you will have to check the retained earnings account balance. You will see the retained earnings account here,
Yes, the last two GL accounts. Correct.
right? So here it is showing 348,460. Only when you execute the year-end balance carry forward, at that time your retained earnings account is updated. Till that time, it is a running balance updated only on the balance sheet report. Because we are not passing any manual entry in the retained earnings account, this is the calculated figure of your P&L account. The total of all the P&L account will give you the retained earnings account. If I run the P&L account balance here, S underscore PL0 underscore 86000030. I'll give leading ledger 0L, sorry, local currency 10, company code DEIN, ledger 0L, year 2023 from period 1 to 12. Here I'll restrict GL account with only PNL. PNL we are using from 3 series to 4 series. I'll take 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 till 4 series. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Correct? This is our PNL series. And let me run this report. If you run the report, if you check this, how much you are getting? 2740,600. But how much we are getting here? If you expand this, these are the account balances, 443. And if you check here, how many accounts you have? Let me take this. In S4HANA, problem with this report is it will give you balance of every month end. Let me filter. I'll go to the last month which we are using. Last month in this is December 2023. If I take December 2023, if I do a total for this, what is the amount? 348,460. Correct? Huh?
Yep.
Now, if you check here, where is it? 348,460.
Yes.
Alright, this is how it will take. Now, there is a small change in this report, especially the T code that you are running. Where is it? Okay, this one. If you see this, if you look at my input parameter, I have given from period number 1 to period number 12. When I give from period number 1 to period number 12, if you notice, it will give you the closing balance of every period. So this will not behave like this in your ECC. In ECC, it will give you only the closing balance, one figure. But here it will give you, if you take the same operating expenses, May 2023 is 100, June, July, August, September, November, everywhere it is giving 100. Correct? If you take the total as it is, then this number is wrong. If you take the total as it is, this number is wrong because it is duplicating the figure. If you want to check the trial balance on December, you have to take only the December month from this. This is what I have extracted. If you want December trial balance, go to this, pick only December. From this list, pick only December, you will get the December balances. Clear?
Yes, Ajay, thank you.
All right.
And do you have time to take one more question, Ajay?
Yes.
Uh, Currently, you posted a vendor invoice, and we always say that profit center we can draw the balance sheet. How can I see a balance sheet for the profit center?
Normally, for your balance sheet, there is no standard report in SAP because SAP does not know what is your asset numbering series, what is your liability numbering series, and on what basis you want to generate the balance sheet, the system does not know. For that, we need to maintain our balance sheet mapping. What is your asset? What is your liability? How you want to group your assets and liabilities. If you say in assets, you have fixed asset, current asset, inventory, cash, bank balances, correct? Similarly, liabilities, you have retained earnings account, capital, loans, creditors, and all. All these GL accounts, system does not know. For that, we need to maintain something called financial statement version. There is something called financial statement version. In financial statement version, we have to create, let me open any one standard. In financial statement version, inside the balance sheet, we have to maintain the GL mapping. We have to declare what are our assets. In this, you will have to create a different categories according to your requirement, like fixed asset, current asset, cash account, bank account, return your creditors or debtors, whatever it is. Similarly, inside the liabilities, when you put this, after giving this, you need to run f.01 report. F.01 is a financial statement. Here you need to pass your company code or chart of account. Let me put company code and ledger, leading ledger balance sheet I want, or you can select non-leading ledger balance sheet. You have two accounting principle, whether you wanted to draw balance sheet according to IFRS or you wanted to draw the balance sheet according to Companies Act. Accordingly, you need to select the ledger in which currency you want the balance sheet, whether you want balance sheet in local currency INR or group currency dollar. If you want balance sheet in INR, you need to put local currency 10. If you want balance sheet in dollar, you need to put group currency 30. After that, you need to give the financial statement version. In short, balance sheet mapping, which is designed in your FSV or financial statement version. Put this and select any one of the option, ALV tree control. Click on execute. Enter. Here it will show like this. Whatever the mapping we have done, accordingly it will display. But for this, we need to do a mapping. This we will be doing shortly. This is a small topic. It will not take more than 1 hour to understand and to configure, run the balance sheet.
Thank you, Ajay.
Okay, but these things are predefined in your SAP Fiori. In SAP Fiori, you don't need to define all these things. Straight away, you will get balance sheet. All that you need to do is you need to define a financial statement version to represent your P&L schedules or P&L mapping. Similarly, balance sheet schedules, balance sheet mapping. If you run that report based on this financial statement version, data is accordingly formatted and output will be given. Clear?
Yes, Ajay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. So we'll connect at the same time in the evening.